What would you do if your car broke down on the way to work tomorrow? Would you actually have enough money to cover that expense? Or maybe your boss calls you in and you realize you're not going to have a job tomorrow. What would you do? Do you have enough money to pay for the next month's expenses? If you don't, you're not alone. In fact, more than 60% of Americans don't even have enough money to cover a $400 emergency without reaching for a credit card. But there's good news. With a focused plan, you can build an emergency fund, which can help you sleep better at night and help cover life's unexpected expenses. And we can do it in the next 60 days. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to save 1 month of expenses in emergency fund in the next 60 days. I'm going to show you the actual math. We're going to break it down, and I'll show you a sample budget that you can actually implement right inside the Lunch Money app to help you get started and start tracking your money and saving more quickly. So let's get into it. So what exactly is an emergency fund? Well, an emergency fund is exactly what it sounds like. It's a fund. It's a set of money set aside for emergencies only. Not, hey, there are Taylor Swift tickets on sale emergencies. No, like I've got a flat tire and I need to get to work emergencies, or I just lost my job and I need to go start job hunting emergencies. You got to set aside money to help cover your expenses while you're looking for a job or to help pay for unexpected bills that come up. Now, when you start your emergency fund, you shouldn't save just like $1,000. I know a lot of people say that's enough. It really isn't. You want to save at least 1 month of expenses, and you want to put that in an external savings account somewhere outside of your normal bank. Now, 1 month of expenses doesn't mean how much do I spend per month. It's 1 month of your essentials only, because let's be honest, if you lost your job, you're not still going to be doing DoorDash and eating out every other week and going to concerts and traveling. You're going to be in emergency mode. So we need to focus just on your essentials only. So that's your bills, your fixed expenses, the ones that can't change. It's transportation, it's groceries, things that you need to live. All of your wants are going to get put on hold. So it does not include paying for things like restaurants and streaming services and going to the movies and concert tickets and travel and all of those things that you can technically live without. So you don't need to save the full amount of spending that you normally do. You just need to save enough to cover your essentials. So for example, let's say you normally spend about $6,500 a month. You bring in $6,500 and you spend most of it. But when you look at your essentials, it actually costs about $5,000 a month. So your emergency fund in that case would be $5,000 to save that 1 month of expenses. Now, experts do recommend eventually saving 3 to 6 months of expenses for extended job loss and other large financial emergencies. But if we're just getting started and we want to make this happen in the next 2 months, start with just 1 month of expenses. The goal is to just have enough money to be a buffer between you and life. When life stuff happens, and guess what? It will happen. You want to make sure you have the money set aside to absorb those shocks, to make sure that you can still stay on track, keep a clear head, stay focused, and not freak out, and especially not reach for the credit card. So what's the actual math for saving an emergency fund in the next 60 days? So let's use that $5,000 example. So how do you actually save $5,000 in the next 60 days? That might sound really aggressive, especially if you haven't really saved any money before, but let's just break down the math. So 60 days is 2 months. So that's $2,500 you need to save per month. If you break that down by week, that's $625 put into a savings account every single week. Or if you want to break it down even further, that's saving $89 per day. But I ran the math, and if you're working full time, let's say you are making that $6,500 per month, you're making almost $300 a day. And so you need to save about 89 of those $300 per day to hit that $5,000 saved in the next couple of months. Now, I know that might sound like a stretch. You might think, okay, how do I even find all of this extra money? How do I save thousands of dollars when I've saved nothing so far? One, I'll just say it's going to take a little bit of sacrifice and some focus and planning, and I'll break down exactly how that works. And we'll even give you a sample budget that you can work with. But two, don't worry about perfection. We're talking progress here. Progress, not perfection. Even if you can only save $3,000 in the next 60 days, won't it be worth it, right? If you could save $1,500 a month for the next 2 months, that's massive. And it'll only take 2 more months to get you to your goal anyway. So that's the goal, is to just know this could take some sacrifice, some focus, some planning, but don't worry about perfection. Just try to get as far as you can here. All right, so now that you know the math, you got to save $89 a day or $625 a week or around $2,500 per month. How do you actually get there? Let's talk about the budget. The only way that you can actually start saving a massive amount of money in a short amount of time is you're going to start living on what's called an essentials only budget. Now, I have an entire video where I break down this entire process right here. It's called the no spend challenge. What a no spend challenge is you stop spending money on everything except for your essentials only. And there's really only 6 budget categories you need to spend money on. Everything else is not necessary. And you can argue with me in the comments if you want to, but these are the 6 essentials that you need to focus on. So one is housing, right? Rent or your mortgage payments. That could include insurance and taxes and all that comes with the mortgage payments. Number 2 is groceries. You got to eat to live. Number 3 is utilities. You got to keep the lights on, keep the water running. Number 4 is transportation. You got to be able to get to work and back. Number 5 is required insurance. So whatever required insurance you need, make sure you're paying those payments. And number 6 is debt minimum payments. Now, those are really the only things you need. Everything outside of that is not necessary when you're trying to lock it down and focus and save a lot of money in a short amount of time. And you might wonder why I even included the debt minimum payments in there. The reason is you're going to start paying off debt aggressively once you have an emergency fund in place, but you got to pause on that. Don't make any extra payments. Don't pay any more than you need to. Pause on that and stack cash first so you have that emergency fund in place so you don't reach for the credit card and get further into debt. So this is going to preemptively stop you from getting further into debt and actually help you in your debt payoff journey. So those are the 6 essentials. What that means is you're going to need to pause your subscription services. You're going to need to pause or cancel your gym memberships or other memberships that are not necessary. It also might mean that you need to say, sorry, I got to stay in, guys, this weekend. I can't go out and spend money, or let's do some free activities. It also means you're going to need to start meal prepping and meal planning. You're not going to go into restaurants and spend money. Food inflation is crazy expensive in restaurants nowadays. So saving money means making meals at home and bringing food to work. All of these steps are going to do a couple things for you. Number 1, it's going to save you a ton of money. But number 2, it's going to build some habits to show you can actually live on a little less than you think. And then number 3, it's going to help you take all of that extra savings and put it into your emergency fund. Now, I will say you can also save even more money by negotiating your fixed expenses. Your car insurance doesn't have to stay the same price. You can shop it around and try to get a better price. Same with your health insurance. Same with your internet service or your cell phone service. You could find ways to save money. In fact, I have a video up here where I show you 15 ways to live below your means and can save you even more money, even on those 6 essential budget categories. So check that out to get some more ideas. But the idea is lower your fixed expenses as much as possible, get rid of the unnecessary expenses, and just stay focused for 60 days. This is going to free up a bunch of money, help you stack cash quickly. In fact, you could be saving $1,000 a month or more just using this move. If you've made all of those adjustments and you're like, okay, I'm living on the bare bones budget and it's still not enough to save $2,500 per month, you're going to need to temporarily boost your income. So this might mean taking on some freelance work on the side outside of work. It might mean hopping in a car and taking Uber, driving people around or delivering their groceries with DoorDash or Instant Cart. It also might mean finding old stuff around the house and selling it. I've made hundreds of dollars just selling stuff around my house that I haven't touched in over a year. Just going through every single room. Okay, what do I need? What do I don't need? List it on Facebook Marketplace. Boom, $50 at a time. You could start to make some serious money. And if you have old gadgets or tech, you can even hop on places like eBay and sell your old tech and make even more money. So you can boost your income quickly with a couple of these tips, and that can add to your stack. The other thing is, if you get paid bi-weekly, for example, every couple of months, there's a 3 paycheck month, and those 3 paychecks are not usually accounted for. Usually you budget based on 2 paychecks. That third paycheck can be completely thrown into your emergency fund. So if that happens to land during the 60-day period, there's extra money. If you got tax refund coming in, if you get a bonus, if you return an item you don't need anymore, you get that money back. Any extra dollar you touch needs to go right into that emergency fund, and that can quickly help you find hundreds of extra dollars per month. All right, locking in on a bare bones budget and finding a little bit of extra money around the house, or even picking up a little side gig just for the next 60 days to help you hit this savings goal is going to get you well on your way. But the only way to actually save your emergency fund is to save it. somewhere else outside of your checking account, because money that sits in your account is something that you can touch, you can use, and it might just accidentally disappear when you don't think about it. So you need to actually start moving money from your checking account over into a savings account. I recommend getting a high yield savings account outside of your normal checking account or in your normal bank, right? Maybe you've got a credit union or a local bank you use. Open up a high yield savings account somewhere else, somewhere like Capital One or CIT Bank or Ally. It doesn't matter. Just find one that pays a good interest rate, but it's not connected to your bank. You want access to the money to be somewhat limited. You actually don't want to be able to touch it too easily. So it's a good idea to have it outside your normal bank and then just start making those deposits. Because once that money's over there, you can't use it anymore. And you're actually going to start living on less money. So make sure you open a high yield savings account, name it emergency fund, and just start putting money there. All right, and I promised I would show you an example essentials only budget that allows you to save the money towards your emergency fund. So let's just break it down here. I've got sort of just the main categories, the essentials only categories here, and then I created a savings category just called emergency fund under here, and we're gonna break it down. So for example, let's say you rent right now and you're paying about $2,200 a month, and your utilities are going to include your cell phone and your internet, but water, trash service, electricity, all of those things. Let's say that's around $400 a month. Now, if it's just you, groceries, you could do $300 to $400 a month, or if you're married, let's say it's around $550 a month, just for an example. And your debt minimum payments, this includes a car payment if you have it. So if you've got a car payment of about $350 and you've got some other debt minimum payments of about $150, let's say that's about $500 a month. Now, your insurance, this could be your car insurance, but it also could be other types of insurance that you need to pay for that are required. Maybe you pay health insurance from your paycheck or out of pocket, I'm not sure. But let's just allocate the same as last period's budget. You could see when I connect my accounts to Lunch Money, it actually tells me, hey, this is what you budgeted for last time. It was $300. So let's put that in there. Gas, let's just say you commute to work, spend about $200 a month on gas. Now, this might be controversial. I said, don't spend any extra money. I like to have a miscellaneous category here, and this is more for the mental aspect of budgeting. What really frustrates me, and I've been a financial coach for 15 years, and I've seen this over and over and over again, is when you try to create the perfect budget and then it doesn't work, you want to just give up altogether. So this is a very tight budget. We're focused for 60 days. We're locked in to save $5,000, but you need to make sure you have a little bit of a buffer built into your budget because life does happen even during that 60 days. And so you might need to have some extra money here. So I had to set a couple $100 just in case it doesn't fit in one of these main categories. Now, as you can see here, my $6,500 income is now split between essentials, and I've got $4,350 in spending so far allocated. So the cool thing is with Lunch Money, if I just click on the set budget category here, it'll tell me exactly how much I have left in my budget. So that's $2,150. As you can see with this budget, I'm going to miss the mark. I can't save $2,500 a month. So I'm only going to end up with about $4,300 here. So now that you create this budget, again, base it on real numbers. Use, when you connect your accounts to Lunch Money, we'll bring in the data and says, this is what you normally spend in this category. We'll give you that information. So like if I go to utilities, for example, I usually spend a lot less, but I'm over analyzing here. But on groceries, I usually spend, just a little bit less than the 500. So that's accurate, but we'll actually show you the information that gets pulled into the app. So highly recommend making sure you're doing it based on realistic numbers. If these are realistic numbers, I am going to be $700 short of my $5,000 goal. So now I'm going to enact some of those other actions I talked about earlier, which is boost my income. Whether I need to do a little bit of freelance work for somebody, go, drive for DoorDash for a couple of nights, a week for the next 2 months and earn that extra $700. Or maybe I've got $700 worth of stuff sitting in my garage that I'm not going to touch, that I don't want, and I just need to get it out of my life. I probably could go find $700 to sell on Facebook Marketplace. But as you can see, it's pretty quick and easy to put together a budget here, and you start saving thousands of dollars per month if you can quickly make these cuts and adjustments. And I do want to warn, this is not a permanent budget, right? This is temporary. To live like this forever is stressful, and I highly don't recommend it. I've got all kinds of other budgeting videos. If you just check out the channel, I'll link the 75-15-10 budget that I love. I put that one up here. That's how you really want to budget. This budget that I'm talking about here, this is essentials only, focused 60-day sprint, and then you can dial it back and start bringing the fun stuff back into your life. But then you'll bring all those fun things back in your budget with $5,000 in the bank. So that's how you save $5,000 in the next 60 days. Don't wait to build your emergency fund. Don't wait until the next crisis hits to realize, oh man, I need to have money saved. Start building it now. Do that 60-day sprint, stack thousands of dollars away, and then go and live your life with a little bit more financial peace. And if you want some help getting started, we've got a free 30-day trial to the Lunch Money app. You can quickly build this essentials only budget and start saving for your emergency fund very, very quickly. We'll bring in all of your financial accounts. We'll show you where you have been spending money. We might even find ways to save a ton of money because you don't realize you're spending money on a bunch of stuff. And then we'll give you your averages so you can make a realistic budget that you could actually stick to, and then you could track your progress along the way and start to save more. So if you want to give that a shot, free 30-day trial, just click the link below. And if you create a budget with Lunch Money and you're like, how do I actually make this thing a reality? Check out this video I made right here on exactly how to stick to your budget and stop overspending immediately.